Q&Asa. Game on daily.
Welcome everybody to the world of Q&Asa on our newly named channel, new time slot, but some things never changed. This is still a conversation between me and all of you. So thank you for coming along and talking as you have been for a while now. I can see loads of familiar names already here. Pete, Patrick, Gyla, Painful Discourse. Malfunctioning Eddie doesn't count, he's my mod bot. Tom's here. JJ as well. So if you haven't been here before actually, and we have got a few new people around because things have been changing on this channel, I best run through what this nonsense is, right? Yeah, that makes sense. So this is not really a podcast as such, it's more of an open conversation. I sit here and some ridiculous circumstances with a silly background and silly music, and we talk. I talk to you, you talk to me, you talk to each other. We just go back and forth and cover whatever the hell we want to cover. For today, I don't know what we're going to cover. I'm hoping that you lot are going to do all of the legwork today because I've not really been with it. I've been not even playing games like I want to. I can't hear my music and it's upsetting me, so I want to get that back. There we go. I'm in an armored suit with boots. Oh, my t-shirt or something. I was like, hang about, I don't feel like that's true, but evening Chronic. Yeah, how's it going everybody? Ichimakasuga's our new member, Saitama from the Discord, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. You can't play the OST game now. Why can't you play the OST game now? Oh, because you're not listening on the YouTube thing. Well, yeah, conversational show. So we go back and forth. Chat's there. I do my best to keep up with it. I miss some things. And because I miss some things, you've got other options available to you. Yes, Painful Discourse. Painful Discourse. I ripped the table desk thing from Scorn today. Don't know why. Just chose to. Today, yeah, we're going to have a conversation. We're going to talk about games like we always do. If that's not good enough for you, if I'm missing your messages and you need to... You need to get your point across more urgently, you can always super chat. It is an option, just to throw money at the channel and the community if you've got it to spare, but don't feel like you need to. That's just an option to get your voice heard more immediately. You've got the Discord server, the world famous Gaming Arcadia Discord server. You can why in Death Stranding? I'll tell you in a minute, Painful Discourse. The world famous Gaming Arcadia Discord server has a load of waiting rooms. If you want to get your voice, maybe even your face, on the internet and talk to everybody, stick yourself in one of those waiting rooms and I'll pull you in for a couple of minutes to say what you want to say. What other options have we got? There will be shortly a Q&A box on YouTube. You can stick anything in there. Doesn't need to be a question. Definitely doesn't need to be an answer. Just stick whatever you want in. At the end of the show, we go through all of those one by one. And on Q&Asa, unlike the other podcasts that we've been doing where they're a little bit filtered, on Q&Asa we do address every single one of those at the end. Not to say I'm going to answer everything, or not to say you're definitely going to get what you want out of it, but they'll all be looked at, they'll all be talked about. Is that all of the options? Is that everything that we normally do? Probably not, but it's close enough. It is a Scorn times Death Stranding crossover. Painful Discourse, to answer your question, the reason that I've got a table from Scorn is that I didn't have a Death Stranding table available to stick in front of me. It's like, you know, I'm in a field. There's cliffs and rocks and water and danger, but no tables. So I borrowed one. I borrowed one that masks my legs so that Tom can't mock me as badly as he usually would do. Death scorning, exactly. So let's start like we always do by talking about some games. I'm dying. By talking about some games. I have had like a terrible couple of weeks for playing games. And it's actually it's getting irritating now because I thought I had Wednesday in mind as my opportunity to get back onto it. Guys, there was no fee for allowing you back onto YouTube. You did a grand job, but thank you for throwing more money at it. You need to calm down, son. You need to calm down. You just have to imagine the sexy legs. You always just have to imagine them. Always. Pete, you restarted Scorn like you do other games, but you got distracted again, but you're going to go back to Scorn again. Was it easier the second time around? Could you remember how to do the various puzzles? Tony, you're at an eye doctor with T-Rex, so you'll hop on and watch after the appointment. I bet it's nothing like unusual, nothing out of the ordinary, just typical child healthcare. I haven't powered around in Power World forever. I'm so far behind, Patrick. They've updated the game multiple times since I've last logged on. I really wanted to. I had everything set to happen. Like games, today's games. I've got all of the podcasts up and running now. Right, we've done the round table. The Xbox One has already had their first episode. Q&Asa is like well established. 81st episode today. So I thought today's the one. I'm going to get onto some games. Didn't happen. Spent the whole day pissing around with bloody Apple's podcasting platform. And sorting out various other bits and pieces that needed sorting out. So no games have happened. This isn't strictly true, right? I say no games. I've obviously played some games. I always try and sneak a little bit in. But it means that I'm going to need you to carry some of this conversation. I'm going to need you to tell me very much what you've been playing, whether it's like whether you recommend it, what's good, what's bad, what you're indifferent to. I did play, and this is Gamsley's fault, on the Xbox Series podcast last week. Gamsley did some picks from Game Pass, his choices that people should try, and he picked Brotato and Go Mecha Ball. I'm going to bring up the Go Mecha Ball trailer while I'm here and hope that my wine doesn't collapse my entire desk. So I did them. I spent a brief time yesterday, very stubbornly, after I was supposed to be in bed. I went like rage game. I was not having the lack of gaming, so I went, right, I know I'm supposed to be asleep. I am playing a bit of freaking Go Mecha Ball and Brotato. So bear in mind, I was in like a sour mood going into these. Sour and enthusiastic and full of all kinds of mixed emotions. And I started with Go Mecha Ball. Go Mecha Ball is like an assault on my senses, and not in a good way. An assault on my senses in that I don't know if I should be pressing charges against the game or against Gamsley. I did not like this at all. So I'm going to have words with Gamsley about that one. It's he described it as playing like Hades. This does not play like Hades. Both is a good answer, Patrick. Both is a good answer. I kind of need Gamsley to be doing well, so I won't press charges just yet. But I feel bad. I feel bad being that critical of a game, because obviously this is like a small developer that have tried their hardest to make something lovely, and they've gone heavy on a particular style and vibrance. It's supposed to be an assault on your senses, but my senses were not in the damn mood for that kind of assault, and I just really didn't enjoy it. Okay, Gamsley first for saying it's like Hades. Yeah, indeed, it's absolutely not like Hades. JJ, it does have too much going on. It's fairly opaque with its mechanics as well. Because you have this mech, like it has no kind of worthwhile story, presents some Redfall style, like a stereoscopic but 2D cutscene-esque opening, where some cats get in mech suits for some reason and get in portals to rescue fun or some shit like that. And then that's it. You've got a gun, which is constantly running out of ammo, and you can use the left trigger to turn into a ball and roll around. There is some mechanic for being a ball and using momentum and doing damage by rolling into things, but sometimes you roll into things and they'll get knocked back and hurt, and sometimes you roll into things and you'll take damage, and little words will flick on the screen like denied. But it's all quite opaque. It doesn't actually tell you what the hell, like how that mechanic actually works and what you're supposed to be trying to do. how you're supposed to like get into the flow of using the roll and the weapons and interchangeably swapping between them and dealing damage, becoming a monster. I only played it once. I did my first roll, which you'd consider like the tutorial roll that's introducing you to the mechanics and things. And I just didn't like it. So it's not on my list of Game Pass recommendations. Episode 13 you're here, but you might have to go to bed soon. That's okay. You play lots of small things. Have you played Go Mecha Ball? Have any of you played Go Mecha Ball? Am I just missing? Like, if I played it longer, if I was a bit more patient, and this is like one of those things with Game Pass where you've not paid anything specifically for this game, you just downloaded it to try. It's very easy to drop off and reject it quicker than you normally would if you'd actually invested directly into the game. It could be that if I had picked this up on like Steam or whatever, I would have given it more than one play, and maybe it would have started to unfurl and become something beautiful. But it did not grip me in its one playthrough. So I went, you know what? I'm so angry, but I'm still not going to sleep. I'm going to play Brotato. And Brotato is renowned for being Vampire Survivors clone. Vampire Survivors also being a clone of like Magic Survivors or something, but Vampire Survivors did big numbers on Game Pass and PC before it. Blew up and was well loved. Brotato was one of these like ride the waves, try and capitalize on the success. Very quickly released after Vampire Survivors. And it's also nowhere near as good. I had higher hopes for this one because this one has like endorsement from Phil Spencer ahead of it going into Game Pass. It was not actually like seen where the quote came from, but it was like known that he's a fan of this game. So Brotato trailer. So I had high hopes, like maybe this is the one. But what you actually get this potato. Very similar to Vampire Survivors in that most, like, all the firing is automatic. You just move the character around. But as far as I can tell, the entirety of the game takes place on a singular, very small map, as opposed to Vampire Survivors that sees you walking around. So you get to equip 6 weapons. They auto fire all around you, and you can level them up and combine them as you go. It has got a fair amount of stuff to unlock and depth in that regard. This is not a good game to me either. It's also slow. It's massively trivial for the first like 10 waves or something. I think I got through 10 waves of the game before I took a single point of damage, and by that point I was like praying for it to end. I'm not enjoying this. Please, something kill me. Everyone getting rid of Game Pass now. But I guess, see, I haven't put much thought into the topics today. We probably will touch the Xbox thing a little bit, right? It's like Saturday isn't the weekend any longer. Why is that, Tom? It's the podcast where I tell you that I hate Game Pass offering. No, I like a lot. This is my problem, episode 13. There's a ton of good stuff I could have been playing instead of these. Ton of good stuff on there. These absolutely fall into the fodder realm, which is unfortunate. Like I say, I am being a little bit harsh to both of them. Maybe if I was really short on things to play, then I'd be more inclined to do this, but I just felt like I was wasting good gaming time. I could be playing something much more compelling. Why am I doing this to myself? So yeah, be wary of Gamsley's recommendations. We'll see what he comes up with. Pressure's on Gamsley for week 2 to recommend games that are actually good. Speaking of recommending games though, tell me what you've all been playing. You've all been quiet. So FCW, you played Vampire Survivors ripoff last night. 20 minutes until dawn. I saw you talking about that on Discord. You got it free on Epic. It's not colourful. Yeah, it was just alright. Is it literally a Vampire Survivors ripoff in that you don't press buttons, you just move your character and collect things? Oh no, this track has lyrics. I hate it so much. Oh well, it's there. We'll live with it. I'm not on top chat. I'm just missing many things. So Pete has resurfaced from Talos 2. Pete, did you finish Talos? Or are you still working your way through? You didn't get the far. Talos 2 came and you're still playing it. You're 75% through now. I'm thoroughly enjoying it, even though it isn't many people's cup of tea. It's highly regarded though, right? The first one definitely had good review scores and Steam user reviews and all the rest of it. I assume the second one does as well. As you don't like Q&A being on Wednesday, you keep thinking it's Thursday and you only got one day left at work. I'm sorry, I was not trying to disrupt your weekly clock or whatever. Sauron, what happened? Was I on time? No, of course I wasn't on time. Wait a minute, how have I paused chat? I didn't even know that was a function. As you can't get off the finals. Is it? How many maps are there in total in the finals? And are you playing it with a particular group of people? I don't think you're playing it with anyone from our Discord, are you? Or are you just jumping in with randoms? Chronic, you're on Power World and Death Stranding. You just started Uncharted 4 the other day. This is spooky. Are you Darge in disguise? There's someone else as well that's played those two. I understand everyone's inclination to get into Death Stranding, like, because they've seen that trailer for the second one. But Uncharted 4, where does that come from? Why is everyone suddenly playing that again? Joe, you're on Infinite Worth. Replicant, you're on Infinite Worth as well. Island wants to play Plants vs Zombies. You're allowed. And Ichiban Kasuga, you've been playing Persona 3 Remake. Are you doing that through Game Pass? You're a PC guy, aren't you? How do you find it? The Persona games are on the wrong side of the JRPG divide for me. In that, you know, the JRPG divide between Sealed Away Deity and High School. They sit on the High School side of it that I find unusual. Persona 5 though, like, it had all this style going for it and I just fell off. So 3 hasn't got me to return. Maybe I will. The Persona 5 Tactics one was quite tempting as well. It's only got 4 maps and only you playing. I've not seen you trying to rally the troops to play with you though. You might be able to find some people, especially if you start jumping into the streaming rooms that we got. Are you liking Persona 3 more than you like Persona 5? That's interesting. Maybe I should give that a go. Could you tell me why you didn't finish Persona 5? What put you off of it? Because if it's similar to me, then maybe you'll convince me to try 3 as well. Kratos, how's it going? What are you playing? FTW, you've been playing Batman Origins after Asylum and City again. So Origins was like the bastard child that was made by the wrong developer and was less popular. Still reasonably well regarded, but not rocksteady well regarded. But I thought it would probably end up being my favourite of them if I ever get around to playing it. Because I think it had less emphasis on the stealth and puzzles and more on punching people. Brillo pad? Who's playing with a Brillo pad? Oh dear. Oh dear. Why the change of YouTube name? So the change of YouTube name is because of the change of YouTube channel direction, in that I'm doing a lot of podcasts here now. And it felt weird having all of these people on these podcasts going out and telling people to come to my channel with my name on it. So that's the only reason. It's more of a... not even necessarily did it, but really, I don't know what I was doing in the first place. I was just streaming games and having some fun, and a nice little community built around it. So the community became the entire focus of what the channel is, so I figured it makes sense to rename the channel to better represent what it is now. And that's the whole thing. Okay. I can still like talk to you as Game On A, so that still exists as my account, as it were. But proof I still exist. You should go on Discord where you read the messages but you don't comment much. It's not compulsory. You can use it as much or as little as you want, but we do have some fun over there. Persona 5 was just so long and felt like it was going nowhere at one point. 3 has better characters and turn-based combat has a really good flow. Is it still set in a school though? It's still a... do you want to do your homework? Do you want to work in the coffee shops? Do you want to go to the arcade kind of day-by-day thing? I can change it to your name. I could have done, Patrick. I'm out of name changes for a while. So, what's going on in gaming? What are we going to talk about in terms of topics today? Sunday fun. Guilty secret games are played. Guilty secret games. Forza Motorsport's the guilty pleasure, isn't it? Although this week on Sunday we are playing Foam Stars. Not everybody's got a PlayStation. Nobody wants to play Foam Stars. But if you, both of those things are true for you. If you have a PlayStation and you don't want to play Foam Stars, it's compulsory. You must come on Sunday. You must have Foam Stars installed and ready to go. We don't need to play for long, just like 2 or 3 games. If it's terrible, then we can move on to something good. Replicant, you played a game of Foam Stars last night and you hated it. I saw you say so. But you still have to do it on Sunday. Everybody has to just jump in. We're being given a multiplayer game on a subscription service on the PlayStation, which we don't get as much use of on our Sundays. It's always like Game Pass offerings because everyone's got Game Pass available. But this one is just like, it's been thrown at us. We have to play Foam Stars. It looks the worst kind of shite in every way. Like, everything about this game is unappealing. But we have to. Helldivers outselling Power World on Steam. Day one PlayStation releases on. Yeah, we'll talk Helldivers in a little bit as well. The series podcast was really good, but it was short. You even felt like both Gamsley and Deadly wanted to talk more. They actually both want it to be fairly short. They've got lots to say, and that's especially going to be true when we're just starting. So every topic that you can come up with, none of them have had like anything to say on it in the past, really, or not to each other. So it's very easy to run long, but Gamsley in particular really wanted to keep it concise. So 2 hours is long enough. You'll get bored of us eventually. There are several podcasters. There are loads of podcasters that run like 3 or 4 hours, and sometimes I have space for that. To be fair, like I listen to ACG's podcast. Quite often runs over 3 hours, and Iron Lords is notorious for running really, really long. But typically, I think 90 minutes to 2 hours is a good length to try and squeeze in more reasonably. Yeah, Xbox 2 is another 4 hour one, and people obviously do love it, right? Like, they get massive audiences of people that want to sit and listen for 4 hours. But for a lot of other people, it becomes background noise if you run it for ages. Like, it's okay to use as background noise, don't get me wrong, but easier to focus on the 90 minutes, 2 hours. So all of the podcasts that I'll be doing will be targeting that kind of length. The last Iron Lords was 5 hours. I've not seen it. I imagine it was chaos, because the ILP just gone would have been right in the midst of everyone thinking like the world was exploding and all of that stuff. And I imagine they had a wild bit of banter and a lot to talk about. Baz, you're glad I'm starting to get more views. Still waiting for a VR invite for Dungeons of Eternity. This falls under the whole not being able to play games at the moment, Baz. I mentioned yesterday, I think, I definitely want to do more everything, which includes VR. It includes Dungeons of Eternity. I played it once with Tony. It was a good laugh. This will happen. Right? Regular gaming times will begin to settle in a bit more now that these podcasts are up and running. Devastating for me. I'm not going to get much time to play tomorrow. But from Friday, I get back into being a gamer, right? FCW, longer podcast, you listen while you work. Yeah, that's same for me. Same for me. It runs too long, it's background noise rather than something you can engage in. Yeah, that's true, Pete. But it is the case that, especially because they're quite open and flow quite freely, I do it on this one sometimes as well. I have to try quite hard to avoid just going off on a complete tangent from any topic and talking about anything and everything for hours at a time. Could quite easily just run these for a long time, but try and keep it a little focused and directed, and then we'll manage to keep running it for weeks and months and years without running out of things to say, right? There's news about that war-based game that you can't remember the name of no longer being available. I don't know this news, Tom, so I'm not going to be able to help you with the TJI. Will I still be on Game On Daily? Yeah, that's the plan. So Game On Daily, the stuff that I'm doing with this channel is like not actually a response to what's going on with Game On Daily at the moment, but the YouTube channel over there is still fine, and the Saturday show, there are not currently any plans to get rid of it. The website is in less fine a state and may not be around very much longer at all, and the business that I have with Gaz is not in a good state, but the YouTube stuff, that's still intended to go on. The one with the lauded story. So not a multiplayer game then. Is this an older game that's gone away? Or why has it gone away, Tom? That might pull us back around to what it is. And while we're thinking about the war game that's gone away, what was this talking about? Foam Stars. So Replicant, you've already played it, you didn't like it. Has anybody else already played Foam Stars? Website must be tough upkeep getting traffic and so on. So the website is a whole story in and of itself. It was supposed to be a very different thing to what it ended up being. And if we had made it into what it was supposed to be, it would be... There's a parallel universe somewhere where things are very, very different. You don't know what you thought Foam Stars was, but it isn't what you expected to see. It's, yeah, I've not brought it up yet, have I? It's a Splatoon clone, copy, pasta, rip-off, but without any of the charisma or style. It looks horrid. Oh, it's such a rip-off. I've actually started searching for Splatoon instead of Foam Stars. Foam Stars. Has it got a launch trailer? The keyboard's too close, I can't type. Got a release date trailer. That'll do. That's enough Foam Stars for anyone's tastes. This is Foam Stars. The foam party does things. It's got foam. It's got foam guns. It's got more foam. Great balls of foam. It says that it's got fun. Not convinced. But you know, if you can introduce your own verticality and build up foam and do all of these things, maybe, because I'm not the only one, everyone expects nothing from this game. Maybe we'll actually find, you know, it surpasses our expectations and turns out to be a little bit of fun. It's free on PlayStation Plus this month, and when the month has passed, so it's not on the Game Pass equivalent one, it's on the Xbox Games with Gold equivalent, like the base tier monthly games offering. When that passes, it's $30. So it is a budget title with presumably awful cosmetics, because the style of the game says everything's going to look awful. You're not going to be getting foamy hammies. FCW, you know, like the download is traumatic for you, so I understand. But everybody else has got a PlayStation. Compulsory. Foam Stars is no Splatoon. Elliot, has Spec Ops The Line gone? What happened to it? Who was... This wasn't this week, was it? This happened a little while back, I think. I did see some of the fallout from it, but I don't know why it's gone. How many podcasts you watch on time? Actually, all your podcasts are cold for you. Wait, how many podcasts you watch on time? Actually, all your podcasts are cold for you. This one's not. You're here live right now. It's not so much a podcast, but... Posh Vessels are still around, episode 13. I do try. FTW haven't been subbed to PlayStation Plus in over a year anyways. Isla, you started a Twitter fight? Oh no, who with? Not with the Foam Stars official account. Deadly and Gamsley. That might be less than ideal, but yes, good. Have fun. Fantasticals. You recently bought a Quest 3 and you have a pretty beefy PC. Any VR mods on my mind? Yeah. Obviously you need to do the actual games like Half-Life Alyx. But you can mod Skyrim. Find I can't remember what they call the packs, Wabberjacky or something silly like that. Find a nice pre-composed pack of Skyrim mods and play that in VR. Play Blade and Sorcery in VR. Use the mod browser on there to get some Star Wars shit. Just do whatever you want. And obviously you've got the Unreal Engine VR injector that will let you play Power World or High on Life or whatever the hell you want to. Tekken 8 is ridiculously interesting and like If you can handle the way the camera every now and again drops and loops, Tekken 8 looks so good in VR. Painful Discourse, I was always in awe of your powers. Have at it. So, that's Foam Stars. I've not got much else to say about it. We're bloody well going to play it on Sunday, at least once. We can all uninstall it after that, but... Kratos, you've done the intro. Oh, you've done... What, Foam Stars has an intro? Oh, I don't have to play through an intro, do I? Nah. Yes, indeed, Replicant. Final Fantasy VII's music is legendary. It's not the first time I've had it on this show. I didn't have time to find a fresh one. So, actually, I really want to play through Remake again before Rebirth comes out. What are my all-time favourite shows and movies? Oh, I used to say for movies, I used to have the first Matrix film in there. Terminator 2 was in there. The Lord of the Rings as a trilogy. None of them stand up on their own, but as a trilogy they were in there. I don't even know how true this is anymore, because I've had that like list as my top movies for a long time without really reassessing it, but used to love all of those. Press the right trigger for Foam. I can do that. Shows. Dunno. It's a good list. I like Attack on Titan and Death Note, both from the same guy, as like anime kind of shows. More serious shows. I don't know really. No Cronenberg films. Name some, Tom. I'm not good with films and people. I don't know. The same guy, question mark, question mark, question mark. Death Note and Attack on Titan are from the same writer, right? Or am I completely missing that? I'm sure they're from the same person. I'm not sure. I know nothing. Favorite film is Blade Runner. A lot of people have that up there as a favorite. Can't say it, do you? The Shield, Deadwood, and Sopranos. Anytime you bring them up, I've never seen Sopranos, or The Shield, or Deadwood. Sorry, FCW. So I like the Vicar of Dibley. No, Pete. No, when that was fresh, I couldn't stand like the presentation of it. I don't. I'm not a big TV person. I don't watch a lot of it. There are many things that I do. Like, obviously, I've seen some things, films and TV. You have to, but I've always been more invested in games and like the martial arts and stuff that I do as well. So difficult for me to get through many series. The Fly is in the movie The Fly. I totally made that up. Whatever, I don't care. I can make things up. Don't. Boo. That's fine. There's some link between the two shows though. I don't know what personal position it is, but there's some link between them. I didn't make it up. Painful Discourse, I don't believe you that you're watching this tomorrow. I do Painful Discourse. Why's my OST gone to shit? I hope it's just my headphones that have gone to shit and you can all hear it. Westworld Season 1 is one of your favourites. I didn't like Westworld. There's a Westworld VR game, but... Is the OST breaking up for you? Or are my headphones just dying? You watch TV every day, 1.5 hours a day, and that's it. You need to react with the screen. Yeah. Yeah. I don't underestimate your power. I said I was in awe of your power. Damn it. It did ring us down, yeah. Mm-hmm. It's just my headphones. Good, they are shit headphones. I have on my wish list the planar earbuds that Sony do. I want those as my headphones. for games and for podcasts, and I want so many things. But did I finish Attack on Titan? Yes, I did finish Attack on Titan. That came at a good time for me for needing to get my head straight on some things. So it's good to sit and watch stuff, and I love One Punch Man. I have to say, because I know you use the name Saitama in our Discord. It's bold to say that that's one of my favourites after 2 series, but I very much enjoy that. Yeah. If anybody hasn't watched that and you have even a slight inkling of interest in anime stuff, it's fun. You're talking about Star Wars reference, Painful Discourse. I see it. Who is playing Suicide Squad? No one mentioned it actually at the start. Replicant's got Suicide Squad. I don't know of other people playing it. I think General C as well. Connor has Suicide Squad. I'd quite like to give it a go. Are you playing it on PC, Replicant? Does it have the stutter that people say it does? Not into gas. Yeah, I'm not like entirely opposed to games as a service. Like my favorite genre is MMORPGs, which kind of pioneered the concept of a service-based game. I'm not entirely against it. It's just the way that they're usually done is not for me. It runs well without the ray tracing, so it's ray tracing stutter. Elliot, you're finally playing Hogwarts and loving it. That's on my list to go back to as well. I've never not played it, not got it. Which one? World of Warcraft probably. Ichiban. I've played a lot of World of Warcraft, but it was Asheron's Call 2 that I used to really enjoy. And when I talk about games pioneering a service model, Asheron's Call 2 had monthly content updates to progress its story and push it forwards. It had a subscription, you paid for it monthly, but it had the ACG show just ended. Oh yeah, because it's Wednesday. Alex, you've missed the whole of ACG show. No, I don't know. We're talking about all of the things. Yeah, so Asheron's Call 2 had monthly content updates that pushed the story forwards and added new content. That was a service game. That was the start of service games for me. It wasn't the first MMORPG, so it wasn't the start in that sense, but it was well ahead of the battle passes and skins that people associate with service-based games today. I just said that I missed the Dreamcast badly. Oh yeah, absolutely. Fun times. The only MMO that was able to keep your attention was Guild Wars 2. You put in about 400 hours. At what period of time? Like, when did you stop playing it? Does ACG ever raid people at the end? No. No, he doesn't. Same as, like, I don't either. It's not a thing that occurs to me. I know that YouTube does kind of support it. I deserve a raid. I deserve so much, episode 13. Don't we all? Don't we all? A swift punch in the face. Maybe it's some more violence than that. Let's not think about what I deserve. You think his audience would like to come here? I think there would be a lot of overlap between our audiences, yes. Because there's a reason that I like ACG's content. They have the same kind of tone and approach to things as I do. Which is why I enjoyed being on their show. And watching and being part of their community as well, so. If any of you aren't already, if you enjoy your time here and you're not already following ACG stuff, it is well worth it. That's a nice place as well. No one's punching anybody. No one's punching anyone, buddy. That's not true, episode 13. Yeah, so Suicide Squad comes highly recommended by Connor and Replicant. No, what would you say, Replicant? Like, do you recommend it? Should I try and get on it? I know there's a bunch of people trying to do Helldivers as well, so let's talk about Helldivers next. I'm actually not a scholar. You can give me gentleman, but I'm not scholarly. I can barely read. 13 has gotten raided before. Oh no. Oh no. What's happening? Agent Argyle showed up. Alex, yes. So Helldivers 2 is reviewing well on the Steam user reviews. Somebody mentioned, I can't remember who said this, but somebody said earlier in the chat that it's leaped above Power World as the top seller on Steam. Obviously Power World exploded during its first week or whatever, so it has had, it's obviously settled down a bit. And I'm not saying Helldivers 2 being above it means it's going to start breaking records in the same way, but it's good to see it at the top of the charts, right? Oh, Suicide Squad is reviewing well on Steam. Yeah, but what about you, Replicant? Do you like it and recommend it? Am I only streaming in 1080p 60? Yeah, Chronic. So this particular show, because it is a conversation, because it's back and forth, I keep the resolution lower so that I can use YouTube's ultra low latency feature. If you up the resolution at all, then you introduce like 20-30 seconds of delay, which isn't a huge amount. You can still basically talk a bit, but I prefer the more instant back and forth. So I keep the resolution down on this one. Who else says size? Oh, that's only in the US, but worldwide, Power World is still on top of Steam. Nonetheless, it's good to see, because there were questions, we were talking about it on Go Live on Saturday, like, can the market sustain a co-op focused game like that costs money when people have become so accustomed to just like downloading and trying things on their subscription services? So, did I play the Final Fantasy demo? No, I don't want to. We'll talk briefly about Final Fantasy in a minute, but I don't want to play the demo. I want to play the game. I can barely reach out for sure. Thank you, Painful Discourse. You are too kind. Yep. So, yeah, Helldivers. So, I want to play it. I think it being top of Steam and selling on PlayStation is encouraging. I like that the developers have come out and said they're planning to deliver content for it post-launch as well that they're not going to charge for. Which is, like, that's a dumb move, what you do. But I like it. I think Dar just got it. I think Replicant might have it. Chris was talking about playing it. So we've got a little group of people lining up ready to give it a go. If Helldivers 2 don't come out tomorrow on GeForce Now, you're going to get it on PlayStation. Yeah, I've got no idea when it's due to come out on GeForce Now. Thursday is GeForce Now day, but Isla, you're so tired. We'll speed it along. Make it not overly long today, but it looks surprisingly good. You kind of want to play it. It's certainly more appealing than Power World to you. You've got other... Power World's not the only survival game you can play. Helldivers is a very different experience. It's just action, right? Dodge gifted it to you. Very nice of him. Yeah, Dodge is just throwing money everywhere. He's a wild man. He gifted me Death Stranding as well. I said I was going to play it on the PlayStation because it's included on PlayStation Plus, so it was no skin off my nose. And he said, no, you don't, and gave me a PC key. Like, calm yourself, Dodge. Very nice of you. But keep some money to feed your children. Helldivers does look promising. If you see some great gameplay, you'll pick it up. I will stream it when we've got it. Yeah, he gifted you Civ 5. He's gifted Peter. What did he give you? Dragon's Dogma, wasn't it? It's your favourite show, don't worry. Okay. Famous overboiled hot chocolate spilt everywhere. Yep. You were just playing the actually this game is top of the charts crew. Yeah. So, I want Helldivers. I don't think it supports crossplay though, does it? Between the PlayStation and PC versions. Which is a sad omission in today's kind of environment where crossplay is fairly well established. Oh, it does support crossplay. Thank you, Luke. I'm still going to play it on the PC, but it's awesome that it does support crossplay. Like, every game should if possible, so... Are you on it, Luke? Have you got Helldivers going? And are any of you that are into Helldivers 2 coming off the back of the first Helldivers? Do we have any first Helldivers players? I mostly like that the first Helldivers signature was friendly fire. It was supposed to be quite difficult, and if you didn't coordinate well with your team, you would just kill them. I like to kill my team, so... You're coming off the first one, which was excellent. Good. Why does this show not have 1 million people watching? I would not be able to keep up with 1 million people. I'm quite content with the conversations that we have. Thank you. Replicant for Suicide Squad, you're not sure you'd recommend it unless you like looter shooters. But it isn't as bad as many make out. Yeah, I mean, Twitter and all the rest of it loves their hyperbole, right? So it was never going to be as bad as all that. But the PC port is also for Suicide Squad. So Replicant was saying that he's playing it fine so long as he disables the ray tracing. I think the console versions have the ray tracing, don't they? Like, at least to some degree. Tom, you played Helldivers, but just on your own, bouncing around too many games phase. Yeah, I did the same. I played a little bit on my own. So I didn't actually get to kill my friends. Didn't have any friends. Oh, Baz. Another horny evening, is it? I understand. You've still got the traversal stutters. I heard the consoles have a bit of traversal stutter as well, actually. I saw Digital Foundry was saying that there's some image quality issues as well, where you can't turn off. It's got like some variable rate shading or anything, so even if you run it at native 4K, parts of the screen will look a little bit fugly. There are many badges. There are many badges. There are many badges, which is awesome. Helldivers 2, Slipspace, welcome. Okay, and it's 4-player, isn't it? So, is Helldivers 2 the kind of game where you need to find a regular crew, so play it as a team of 4 and try and get through the game from start to finish, or is it very much drop in, drop out? So, if a bunch of people have it, we can like mix and match and play with whoever's available. Ray tracing is very CPU heavy on that thing. Suicide Squad. You are not 100% convinced that DLSS is working on it. There's been a few games that have launched where it was pure placebo, just not working properly. Will badges outnumber fadges soon? Yes, Tom. If that doesn't prove out to be the case at some point, then things have gone very wrong. So the fadges, the founding badges, was a limited time, very select, lucky few that will hopefully come to appreciate that that's a good little honor and value to keep hold of. It's 4 players. Can you reserve a spot? Alex? I don't know. I don't know who's playing what and when and how easy it is to mix and match. So hopefully, if we're lucky, like all the progress is individual and you can just hop on and play with different people at different times. That will make things much easier. Dreamcast guy just posted a video on the change of name from Xbox Game Pass to Microsoft Game Pass. Here we go with more rumors. I thought that one's already been dismissed, hasn't it? Debunked before it caught fire. Because GameSpot made it up. GameSpot or some retailer, or I don't know. It never was actually named. It's a weird one because Microsoft dropped Xbox from the name of PC Game Pass like months and months ago. It wasn't big news then, so it's not called Xbox Game Pass on PC. It's called Game Pass for PC. It has been for ages. So I'm sure that's true. I'm going to open the Game Pass app now and see if I can prove myself. I dropped the Xbox Game Pass for PC branding months ago. Spud Game. Not a bloody brotato. Come on now. Your name got scrambled again. I hope I've got your name correct this time. Alright, fuck it. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. What's happening? Ah, I'm a gold badger. And then will they have a guaranteed spot on my weekly podcast? Oh, my gold badgers. No, there's no spots on the weekly podcast, Alex. You get priority for the queues for things when there are queues for things. Like if there were a whole load of people sitting in the waiting rooms to come onto Discord right now, I'd pick from the founders and the gold tier first. But Pete, you were AFK for a few minutes. You walk in and I'm talking about horny evenings with Baz, who appear to be yeah. Don't worry, Pete. It's the best time to take a piss. Now you're back. We'll carry on with the game. Oh, what's going on? The bloody EA thing is I opened Game Pass on the PC, which is just called Game Pass. It's not called Xbox Game Pass. And it started connecting to Riot and EA. It's probably going to start updating my games. The whole stream's probably going to get utterly obliterated and taken down. Why did I click this? Because I'm an idiot. You're reinstalling Plants vs Zombies. Why did you uninstall it? Oh, because Baldur's Gate took up the entirety of your drive space. I remember. My bad, my bad. Okay, so we're all going to play Helldivers. I don't have Helldivers and I don't know when I can get it. So maybe it's one that you can all stream in one of the streaming rooms. What else have we got? So Helldivers we've done. Foamy Stars we've done. Let's talk about Final Fantasy. I have seen people saying that Final Fantasy VII Remake is their candidate for Game of the Year based on what they saw in the State of Play the other day. Don't run away if you're avoiding the State of Play. I'm not going to talk about what was in it because I'm not going to watch it either. But there are people that are saying that Final Fantasy VII Remake, Rebirth even, you know, the second part of the remake, is looking like a Game of the Year winner. Looks incredible and all the rest of it. And they say that despite knowing that Dragon's Dogma 2 exists. So it must be really impressive. Would I watch it if I had a PlayStation podcast? No. No, I wouldn't. I would just talk around it. Like, you know that I want to set up a PlayStation podcast, and I'm on podcasts that talk about it. But of all the games, that's the one that I feel most strongly about avoiding. You're right. I would avoid a lot more trailers if I wasn't on podcasts and things. I don't like to. Typically, the more they try to win over your interest by showing you things that are interesting about the game, the more they take away my interest in the game, because you've already shown me that it's not going to hit in the same way when I actually play. The Final Fantasy VII stuff, the first reveal trailers that they had for Rebirth, when we didn't even know the name of it, those showed far too much. They showed far too much. So I have done my best to avoid everything since. And I know that they continue to show far too much. That's just the way that Square Enix trailer things. And I'm going to get that game as soon as I possibly can when it comes out. I'm going to play it on the PlayStation 5. I'm not going to wait for a PC version or an Xbox version or anything like that. I know that I am getting that. Whenever I talk about this game, I say, I think Dragon's Dogma 2 is probably going to be the best game this year, but Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is the game that I cannot miss this year, because that's how much I'm looking forward to it. I bloody well don't want to watch trailers, so I haven't watched the State of Play. It's nice to see that other people are like enthusiastic about it as a result of seeing it, but other people are watching the State of Play, and the takeaway, the impression that they're getting is that it is going to be quality, that they are going to nail it again. But for me, like, I don't want to watch that. Talk about it afterwards a little bit, non-spoiler wise, you know. People are going mad about it, as in it's good. I really very much like the Final Fantasy VII Remake. I had no faith in Square Enix to deliver a good one. I don't think they know how to make a good Final Fantasy game anymore. But somehow Remake turned out good. Sadly, it will never come to Xbox. I wouldn't say never, episode 13. The dog likes Brotato. I think it's the noise. It sounds like... Baz, are you playing Brotato? You must have missed the start of the show where I talked about how shite that game is. I hope you're enjoying it though, just because I didn't. Look, you also ignored the State of Play. You have played the demo and it's fantastic. So I've heard that the demo, your progress from it carries on to the main release. So I don't know if it's like a prologue, or if you like when you start the game, that is how the game opens or something like that, which would make it reasonable to play it. But at the same time, I don't want to play 2 hours of it now and then wait the rest of the month to carry on. I want to get into it properly. They're going to add further content into the demo. Yeah, that's not how I want to consume the game. Like, no disrespect to anyone that is doing it, obviously. It's when the last real Final Fantasy game was Lost Odyssey. Change your mind. I cannot change your mind. The only thing that I can say is I think if you revisit the likes of 13, they probably feel a lot better than they did when they came out. It'll be easier to appreciate what they did when you're comparing them to bloody 15 that Tony loves. Surely I'm getting Foamy with the homies on Sunday, episode 13. We get Foamy with the homies. At least, like, don't worry, you're not losing the entirety of the Sunday stream. We'll play some normal stuff too, but there's going to be a bit of it. They mention in the menu that if you complete that section in the demo, you can skip it in the game. So it's not even necessarily the opening. It might, like, it's obviously going to be near the start, but you wanted to like Final Fantasy 13. You started it like 5 times. It just wasn't for you. That's fair. Like the criticisms that were leveled at 13 at the time were reasonable. It was very linear. It was not very akin to previous Final Fantasy games at all. They were chasing this this entirely different audience that didn't like turn-based combat. And for me, it was a step in the wrong direction, but they only continued to step further into the wrong direction over time. So now I think if I went back to 13, I'd be like, oh, they hadn't gone very far in the wrong direction at that point. So I'd probably like it more. I never played the second and third parts of 13 as well. How long to play through the demo? I heard it was 2 hours, but I don't know. Just don't like the combat in 13. 7 Remake feels a lot better to their credit. 7 Remake, I don't know how they managed it, but Tim Dog just wrote on Twitter that Helldivers 2 might end up on Xbox. Isn't... I don't know. Sony published the Steam one, right? Because you could be the Death Stranding thing where there's a chink in the armor of the publishing agreement and somebody else can publish it after a certain point in time, but if Sony are publishing it, I don't know. I don't think they own the IP, so I'm not gonna particularly try and go detective on that one and figure out the possibilities of Helldivers coming to a different platform, but obviously it would be nice if it did. Am I looking forward to Metro VR? I am looking forward to Metro VR. Yeah, not much more I can say on that. I'm looking forward to it because I like a VR game and they're obviously few and far between, and that one is looking very tidy and pretty. How good a game it will be in totality, I don't know. I never have massively high expectations for VR games in terms of the scope and scale of them, because they have very constrained budgets as a necessity, because not many people are going to buy the game. Games everywhere for all is absolutely, like, suits me. Episode 13. I know that's a controversial hot button topic at the moment for other people, but so shall we talked a little bit about Final Fantasy, not really in any depth. There was no meat on that topic, but you know, I haven't played it and don't want to. We talked about the amazing Go Mecha Ball. Don't play Go Mecha Ball unless you want your senses assaulted. We talked about Helldivers, kind of, again, not in any depth, but we'll get on that soon. Talked about Foam Stars, which everyone is being forced to play just once on Sunday. Let's talk about the Xbox thing briefly. I should get the Final Fantasy $100 bundle. Well, Alex, you do not understand my financial situation if you think that's a good idea. But yes, I should love to. Isla, you sent me a VR video the other day. Oh, I know what you mean. Tim Dog is in his raw emotions right now. He hosted a 7 or 8 hour Spaces on Twitter, right? That's a lot more stamina than I would have given him credit for. You get 400 soundtracks. What do you get if you don't buy it? Between 7 and 8 hours, yeah, of Spaces of Xbox fans losing their mind because rumours of Starfield going to PlayStation or whatever. I think it was 7 hours straight. Like, I don't know if people, obviously some people dipped in and out, but the Spaces ran for, I've not clicked on it, but I've seen the, because it's a recorded one, you can go back and watch it, and it said it was 7 hours something. Yeah. And it's, I'm not like that sympathetic either for the meltdown. Like, a lot of people have built up their own brands and things, and had some things bite them in the ass, but they're not even upset about. I don't know if people are genuinely upset that games might go elsewhere, or if they're upset that they've had their own identity undermined. Like they've built upon a soft foundation and things might be ripped apart from underneath them or over them, or however you want to position that one. So what do we think about that? Because my take on all of these things, it's just rumors and speculation at the moment. We're going to hear about it next week, and I don't like it when topics just get rehashed and talked around in circles again and again and again for months and months and years and all the rest of it. So I don't want to keep on talking about it. But I mean, what's the general feeling here? Because you might not be bored of it. You might want to talk about it. I'm wary of getting into it if you've all had enough of it. I know that I've had enough of it. Quick question, the Helldiver $70 edition has 2 extra missions. That sucks, Alex. Extra content for extra money is a less than ideal scenario, but what do we think? Wow, it comes back to that, doesn't it, Patrick? What do we all think about the ABK acquisition? If the ABK acquisition, it turns out, is a tipping point that changes Xbox in a direction that people don't like, will they suddenly regret all of the cheering they did for the ABK Activision acquisition? I don't know. People having parasocial relationships with console brands and corporations. Parasocial relationships is a word that I've heard more than ever in the last week. Yeah, it is like a real thing and a real issue that's causing them problems, I suppose. But it's like racists being unhappy about a new policy which stomps on them and their following. I'm not sure that's a perfect analogy, Tom, but Luke, do you know, we had a good conversation when you came on Go Live. I also had another 90 different weeks of conversations that were not for me. So yeah, I don't want this to become one of those. And to be fair, we're going to get clarification much sooner, right? We've only got a week to wait until Microsoft come out and say some things, and then we'll have... Oh God, I hope they are concise and clear with it, so we don't have years more of the same back and forth. But real, like, high level though, what do you all hope is going to happen? There's all these rumors that Microsoft are going to start putting games everywhere. Do any of you have strong feelings about it? Like either for or against? A thing that you want to see happen, or a thing that you really don't want to see happen, or are you quite relaxed about it and just waiting to see what unfolds next week? You hope exclusivity from every platform ends. That's a nice dream, Chronic. My financial situation is probably like yours. The only advantage is you have a faster internet speed. Stop winding me up for my internet speed issues. Michael, you think that ABK and Bethesda studio games will go multi-plat, but Xbox game studios will stay on Xbox? Do you have feelings about that? Like, does it make you feel one way or the other? There obviously is a distinction between Bethesda and Activision Blizzard King. In both cases, when they were acquired, they were held to run autonomously as separate publishing arms within Microsoft. So they could very well have different behaviors between them. It's definitely not outside of the equation. Or, you know, if it wasn't true, don't you think Phil would have come out and said something by now? Perhaps, as I mean, it's not so much that he would have said something, it's that the stuff that he did say, like, he did say something and it wasn't very much, right? Yeah, sorry FTW, you are worse off than me. Patrick, you think many will end up regretting all of the cheery they did for ABK, people that want Xbox to have more exclusive than PlayStation. The one part of the rumors that does get my back up a little bit is there is lots of like tied in with it, and I think this might be coming from Tim Dog. I'm not sure of the source on this because, like I say, I steer fairly well clear of the rumors and speculation. But one of the things that's going around is that they need to walk back their commitments on Game Pass. Like Replicant has just said there with the day one releases, and if the net result of the ABK acquisition and the ZeniMax acquisition is that we no longer get games day one on Game Pass, what were people cheering for? Obviously they didn't know that would be the outcome of it, but that would suck, right? Because that was the one material positive of the acquisition as far as people outside of the company and shareholders were concerned. It was the one thing that was supposed to like improve our lives as a result of the deal going through. Like, taking games away or leaving them on other platforms, only console warrior people really gave a shit about that side of it. But for the rest of us, the tangible benefit was that we'd get Call of Duty and Diablo on Game Pass. Like that kind of thing. If that turns out not to be the case, then like, I regret the 2 years of discussing it even more. Give me back my damn podcasting hours, bastards. Painful Discourse, you're a bit worried that there might not be an Xbox in the future. Going multi-plat, is it? There's going to be an Xbox. You usually can only get one console for half. So, Painful Discourse, that's interesting though, because, right, you're telling me that you're worried that there might not be an Xbox in the future, right? Which I don't think is going to be the case at all. I think I've said over and over again that I think they're going to massively fight to have a dominant platform, be it console-based or otherwise. And they're not giving up being a platform holder, so Xbox will still be there. But you also said right afterwards that usually you can only get one console for the half of the generation, money-wise. Surely that means that you hate exclusives, as like the whole concept of exclusives. No? Like, wouldn't it be better for you if everybody just put their games everywhere? Because if you're only going to get one console, wouldn't you want all the games to be on that one console? If the outlay for two consoles is a problem, then exclusives are the bane of your life in that sense. Like, you'd be much better off if you didn't have to get two consoles to play everything. It sucks as Xbox aren't bargaining with PlayStation to swap games and instead get nothing in return. You don't care how much money Xbox or PlayStation make, you just want to play more games. Well, we don't know that, Chronic. We don't know what conversations have gone on in like behind the scenes. I would say Microsoft bringing games to PlayStation wouldn't make PlayStation less inclined to share. I know it's not part of their typical strategy, and I don't think they're immediately going to respond by putting God of War on Xbox or anything, but their model is different. So, Game Pass needs to stay as Game Pass. Game Pass is still going to be Game Pass. And to be fair, I've often said, when Microsoft committed to the day one on Game Pass thing, I've often said that if it wasn't the case, if their games were later than that, that service would still provide good value for me. So they went above and beyond doing it, but it's going to be a very difficult walk back if they need to walk it back. Tom, even selling and developing ABK games at the current rate will take over 35 years just to recoup what they paid, and Game Pass throws a spanner in that. Ooh. Kratos, for you, you'll buy physical games, physical Xbox games on the PlayStation 5, but you're not going to have a subscription for a few games. It'll cost way more over time for a game. Why pay hundreds for a $70 game over the years? Yeah, that's where things like Starfield in particular was an interesting one, because that was one where if it had landed and been a game that people want to play for thousands of hours, the subscription service wasn't necessarily the best way to consume that. But not the Dreamcast scenario. Is Tony winding you up? They're not going the Sega route. I hear people say that they're going to go third party and become what Sega were. There's a very distinct difference, because Sega gave up being a platform. They became purely a publisher of games. That is not what Xbox are doing. They are going to hold on to a platform. Japan holding the gaming industry by the balls. Let's go. Okay. Tony, you want Xbox to die, you want to see how much PlayStation and Nintendo raise their prices. This is another thing that we talked about earlier a little bit in the Discord, because I don't think they can wildly raise their prices. A lot of people look back at the PlayStation that launched the PlayStation 3 because their competition was weak and they took the piss with the price of their console. And they're hubris and arrogant, but they can't afford that now with or without Xbox. There are too many threats to the console space. If they go all arrogant and start overcharging from things, then people are going to play on GeForce Now, or they're going to play on their mobile phones, or all of these other options that are slowly beginning to encroach on the console space. It's not a solid space anymore. So they can't just do whatever they want if they're the only console. People will find other ways to play games, which wasn't the case when the PlayStation 3 launched. Gaming only for the elite rich? Nah, there's going to be options. Replicant, your take with Game Pass, it potentially devalues games in the sense people do not have time to really play all of the games included per month. Play it for an hour, drop it, move on to the next, and then repeat. Yeah, like Go Mecha Ball and Brotato, I played for like 5 minutes. Didn't enjoy them, threw them away. I wouldn't have done that if I'd bought those games. This is not strictly a Game Pass problem though. There are just too many games now. Not in a way that's like, I hate that there are too many games and blah 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 blah, but it is, there's more good quality content being released than people can consume, regardless of the model that provides those games. The Game Pass does change the way you engage with it, but it's a factor and not the entirety of that issue. You do have a situation where, and this is already true, people have been saying like this is the reason that Xbox is gonna die or whatever. If it's a Game Pass console and you release a game on the Xbox for money, it's very difficult for that game to thrive. It's the Helldivers conversation, but more specific when it's on that platform. And it's true, it is difficult for a charged game to thrive over on the Xbox when people just have 400 games, 500 games, whatever there is in Game Pass today, ready and available to play at any moment. But I don't know, it's still a good service for me. I'm still happy to get it and play things. PlayStation fans don't want competition. You'd love to watch it all unfold. I think there's no getting away from competition. I don't think Microsoft and Sony existing together is necessarily key for competition. There will always be competition now. There's too much to play and too little time and money to play it all. So anyway, it's 11:15, which means we should move on to getting some of these questions in, right? Otherwise, I can tell that I'm incoherent now. I'm not saying anything sensible. You're still all sensible and making good sense, but I've started speaking complete gibberish and nonsense. So I think it's a good time to do the questions. Replicant, it reminds you of a kid at a high school swapping Amiga discs at lunchtime. Had hundreds of games, finished few. Yeah, you're not wrong. The piracy days. Let's do a question. Baz, you bought a PlayStation 4 just for Days Gone and God of War. A lot of money just for playing 2 games. So exclusives do work. Exclusives definitely work. It's an effective, tried and tested model. It's just not necessarily a model that we should be cheering on as consumers, because it doesn't work in our favour, does it? Like if God of War and Days Gone had been on your Xbox, you would have saved yourself 400 quid or whatever. Oh, it's broken. And the greatest example of it for me was the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4. And it's true actually now as well. The Xbox Series and the PlayStation 5. The hardware's like pretty much the same. You buy them because of the exclusives and not much other reason. You're not buying it for the hardware. You're not buying a PlayStation 5 because you want its SSD if you've already got an Xbox Series X. Like, your console is fast enough, and there's no real material tangible difference between them. You get them because of these exclusive libraries, and if that weren't the case, you'd just be 500 quid richer. Like, that's a good thing for us. So there are advantages to exclusives. They are the reason that platform holders pour money into games, and we do benefit in that sense. And there is still the hypothetical, like, unicorn exclusive that takes special advantage of the hardware and is like custom tailor-made for a console. Those things are not like, they're not totally insignificant, but they kind of are totally insignificant. Let me get this damn thing out of the way. I want to read the question. Right, Painful Discourse has asked, do you think Xbox will support Redfall? Still some characters missing. You went back to it and you think it has some potential after the last patch. You think it isn't likely to get a comeback story though? That's a good question. They delivered the 60 frames per second patch that they promised, didn't they? No, I don't think it's going to get a comeback story. I don't think we're going to see like content patches for it. I don't think the studio that made it wants to be stuck doing that. You think that Microsoft will deliver on the already sold DLC character? Oh, if they've already sold stuff, like if these are characters that were announced and have been part of like a season pass or whatever else, then yeah, they have to deliver those. When I put my podcasts on podcast services, yes, Michael, I already have the Xbox Series podcast and the Arcadia Roundtable. Those are on podcast services already. This one won't be. Q&Asa doesn't really suit listening back in the same way. If there are people here listening back right now, I'm glad that you are, and I hope you had a good time. But it is conversational. It makes a lot more sense as a live thing. So I think listening back to this, you just hear, unless you have the chat open, you just get this incoherent rambling from me as I dart back and forth between things that people are saying. So I don't put this one on podcast services. Phil Spencer stepping down. There are rumours of that, aren't there, Tony? But you're just saying words to be controversial. We shall see, right? We'll see next week. I thought Phil Spencer was prepping to step down when he did that. I can't remember what platform he did it on, but he came out and did an interview where he apologised for everything. I'm sorry Redfall was bad. I'm sorry Xbox isn't winning. I'm sorry the weather's not very nice today, and all of this stuff, like trying to just put all of the blame for everything on himself, including things that were not remotely his fault, like couldn't have been attributed to him. I thought that was him preparing to go, but that was a few months ago. So I'm not dissing Phil, episode 13. I'm talking about a very specific interview where he shouldered more blame than made sense, which seems like that seemed kind of strategic, but it was a sad interview. It was a sad interview that made me think, hang about, this is out of character, and would make sense if he was preparing to leave. But he stuck around, so who knows? Who knows what's going on? Cog was quite vague earlier, but he said things could go either way. If one way, Bill and a few others may step down. Cog as in Lord Cognito of the Iron Lords, or Cog as in someone within Microsoft? I like Cog, but I don't know how connected he is in terms of Microsoft world. It is true that if Microsoft are having a massive shift of strategy, then it is highly likely that that means that the current regime or the current strategy has been deemed a failure, right? They're not changing strategy because they delivered on all of their targets, I don't think. So if there is a big change of strategy, I could see a change in the guard as well. I don't want that to happen. It would suck. I've said loads of times, you get the impression with Xbox, and it's not necessarily a true impression because PR is murky, but you get the impression that Phil and Sarah and a few of the others there are the reason that Microsoft still understand good games, and that understanding and that layer of protection could just be stripped away if they do move. So Cognito on defining Duke. He doesn't tend to leak things, but he's got a lot right recently. Cog's a good guy. I like Lord Cognito. I don't know what he's got right and wrong. I have not followed his track record on the leaks and all the rest of it. Pete, the Arcadia, has asked, I'm brave. Well, I won't necessarily question this until I get to the end of it. Oh no, I spy a little question mark. Right. I'm brave engaging with the great unwashed on the internet. How hard or easy do I find it? In any community you get harsh, stupid, wonderful, sycophantic, clever people. How do you manage it? Yes, Pete, I am very brave. Next question, please. I don't know, Pete. It's unusual that I do this. Because I'm deeply I was joking about the next question. I just took the brave part and left it, but thank you, I'll keep that one there and I'll get to it in a second. Yeah, I'm deeply antisocial. I used to play MMORPGs. I used to run like a clan on Quake 3. I used to be very internet social. And I don't know what changed and when, but I went the opposite direction and never engaged with anyone. Missed out. Despite loving multiplayer games, I don't play them because I don't like talking to people. So somehow, when Game On Daily started and we were talking about like YouTube and things, Gaz wanted to be a YouTube superstar. Like, stop me if this is news, but Gaz wanted to be a YouTube superstar, and I didn't want to be on YouTube at all. I didn't want anyone to know my name or that I exist. Just wanted to like be a ghost in the background. And then we started doing it anyway. And I don't know, I think I got drawn in by the technology more than the social or parasocial or personal aspects of it. I just got drawn in by making things work. And then lo and behold, it turned out to be fun. I got a good community here that I do like talking to. So we keep moving, and I don't understand myself sometimes. A superstar of, yeah. Superstar of YouTube is his plan. You're glad that I exist. That's nice. Nobody's ever said that before. I'm going to cry a little bit. Alex, you're like me. You want to be a ghost. No, you bloody well don't. You're a massive troll. You want attention at all times, Alex. We can see through. Maybe that's why you think you're a ghost. There's a transparency there. We can see right through you, but it's not spooky. Right. Pete, I don't know if that answers your question, but Tony has said, if we lived in a world where no exclusives existed, this is like on point, isn't it? If we lived in a world where no exclusives existed, how would that impact people's buying purchase of hardware, price, features like VR? Yeah, Tony, it would have to, wouldn't it? If like people still need hardware, there's still a market and people willing to pay for it. If exclusives weren't what was drawing you to a piece of hardware, they would have to compete on price, value, power, performance, like features. And suddenly the Xbox and the PlayStation consoles, if they did release, probably wouldn't be almost identical. They would need to differentiate in more meaningful ways. I tried to interject on Go Live when David Jaffe was talking about this. I tried to interject that actually, if you look at these other industries like music and stuff, you can still buy stereos and they compete in different areas. And stereos is possibly not the best example. He's Jaffe, so he was very dismissive and assumed I was arguing with him when I was actually supporting his point. He dismissed it and said nobody buys stereos or something, but headphones would have been a better example, right? There's no exclusive music and no exclusive sounds that you can play on any device. You're all listening to the same music, but headphones is a competitive market. You can buy them for a range of prices with a range of qualities and a range of features, and that's how consoles would have to compete. They'd have to try and make better ones or give you a reason to buy them. So it wouldn't necessarily be a terrible world. Yeah, it is slightly more modeled because you do have the whole the way that software is sold and the way that they are closed, walled gardens, taking money as a platform off of other things being sold through it does differentiate it from headphones and things. But purely on a hardware level, they'd still have to find good ways to compete. So that's your answer to that one, Tony. Next question, please. Alex, they're adding a part 2 to the Final Fantasy Rebirth demo. I heard they're adding more content to it. Tony, my reaction when I got my first bottle. What? I see the future, and the future is bright. Sauron Grant, it bloody well is. Like, I say, while also being massively skeptical of the future at the same time. I'm not concerned about the current discourse around what Microsoft are doing. Doesn't concern me. The constant, never-ending drive for money does concern me. At the moment, Microsoft trying to get our money is good for us. Like, our interests align. It's one of those situations where we're not friends, but we've got the same goal at the moment. Like, they need to make good games. We like to play good games. Our goals align for the time being. At some point in the future, our goals probably won't align. Like, their way to make money will not align with our desire to play good games. And that'll be a sad time. But I'm going to enjoy the ride while it's good. That's my plan. So this is Alex S has asked, what's my background? Death Stranding ? Yes, Alex. Background is Death Stranding. The tabley thing in front of me is from Scorn. The music is from Final Fantasy VII Remake. Next question, please. Stream is no longer available since I did it on Twitch. My first bottle is this, Tony. You're wild. I don't know what you're talking about, but as always, massively appreciate that you're talking about it. Tony's awesome. Tony has been, like, he's the first real person, don't take that the wrong way, Ali, you're very much a real person, but Tony's the real internet person that found the channel and supported me years ago, so. Tony's a big reason why I'm able to carry on and do this in the way that we're doing it now. That's why Tonio is famous. Episode 13, he was here first. Oh, I'm afraid he is, Tom. I'm afraid he is. Right, next one. Replicant has asked, is Borderlands 4 coming? Fingers crossed. Those tweets and new YouTube video. I've not seen the tweets, Replicant. Borderlands 4 is in an interesting situation because Gearbox are still, at this moment in time, owned by Embracer. So, I wouldn't say that any bets are safe. They are apparently... so Randy Pitchford and whoever else is involved in that company and still has some kind of control do have the finances to keep Gearbox going potentially. They were up for acquisition when Embracer started falling about, but there were talks of them spinning off and going independent. Obviously, going independent would mean buying themselves back from Embracer. So Borderlands 4, I imagine it's in the works there at the moment. It seems highly likely, but they do have to navigate the crumbling of Embracer all around them for us to ever actually see that game. So hopefully. I haven't played Borderlands 3 yet though. Borderlands 2 is quite good in VR if you were wondering. Replicant, you could give that one a go. Alex has asked, have I seen the Starfield update for super upscaling for PC? Will I check it out? No, Alex, what's super upscaling? Replicant, what's Alex talking about? What's this super upscaling? Oh, are you talking about FSR 3? I don't give a shit about that, no. So FSR 3 is the frame generation technology. Starfield already runs as well as my screen can handle, so I don't need that. I don't particularly like FSR as an upscaling algorithm. So no particular plans to go and check that out, but it is this is very circumstantial. For some people, they'll have hardware that really does benefit and give them a better experience with that enabled. So it's a good thing that they're doing it, and it's a good thing that they're playing with it. But for me, it's yeah, not that bothered. Here's the next one. So this is from Ichiban Kasuga Al Saitama. Do I think that there will be a Bloodborne remake or even a Bloodborne 2? So my theory is fairly well established around here that Bloodborne, Sony lost the password. From Software and Sony Japan made the game, and at some point when Sony Japan went under, From Software had left the password to the entire code base with a Sony Japan employee who left, and they've been calling in. They've been like, whatever your name is, please give us the password. We need to We need to do a PlayStation 4 Pro patch. We need to do a 60 frames per second patch. We need to do a PlayStation 5 version. We need to do a PC version. Please return our calls. And he's not returning their calls. So they can't remake it without rebuilding it from scratch. Which isn't entirely outside the realms of possibility, but it is mostly outside the realms of possibility. Bloodborne 2 we will get, I think. PlayStation 4 PC emulator is looking promising. Bloodborne's not working on it yet, but it will eventually. Yeah, we'll get emulation for it, I'm sure. But I think if we were going to get Bloodborne updates, people have been begging for it since the PlayStation 4 Pro came out, and that's a long time ago now. So lost the password. Alex has asked, Jim Ryan is officially leaving next month. Who do I believe will replace him? I'm not a gambling guy. I'm not one for guesswork. But does anyone have any? Yeah, Phil Spencer is the shout. Could be. Has anybody got any other ideas? Who might replace Phil Spencer? Do you think it's going to be a personality that we're aware of, or someone completely unknown? Big Phil. Bobby Kotick's on the market. Like he can walk in if they want him. Fix everything up to everyone's detriment. Herb. Oh, Larry Herb. Yeah, no, that's not his role, but yeah. The Dards Knight. Yep, Dards could do it. I don't think Phil could do it. Phil's used to playing with more money than they've got. Did I say who will replace Phil? Well, that's the follow-up question if Phil's going to Sony. Yeah, it was a slip of the tongue. I've not heard of Phil leaving. Alright, episode 13. Leave it out. I'm trying. Hang about. Alex has asked, will you jump back to Starfield? Starfield's next update adds a major new upscaling feature for PC players available now in Steam beta form. Look, every week, this is the 81st episode of Q&Asa, and every week I say, you can stick whatever you want in the Q&Asa box, in the Q&A box, sorry, slip of the tongue. You can slip whatever you want in the Q&A box, and I'll address each and every one. I'm changing the rules now. If you stick the same thing and you just slightly paraphrase, change the words around a little bit, I'm not going to readdress them, Alex. Come on now. We've just done this. You've asked this one twice. Next question, please. And yes, I am going to go back to Starfield, and no, it won't be because of the upscaling feature, the frame generation. Alex's 3 questions, mate. No, it's not so much that. It's just that each question does have to be unique. You can't just re-enter it. Oh my goodness. Day of days. Alex just said sorry for one of his trolling attempts. What is going on? Never thought I'd hear that from you, Alex. It's okay. It's all good. Everything is fine. Tony, Phil is leaving. You guarantee it. Too many shifting of positions and not enough leaving. It's an interesting take. I can definitely see it. But yeah. But I wouldn't put any money on any of it because I'm not a gambling guy. I'm not a speculation guy. Ryu, you hate Microsoft, you love Xbox. I'm so surprised that I don't hear that sentiment more often. That people have this like, or I question it sometimes and I never get like a solid, believable or comprehensive like response on whether the people that love Xbox actually make that distinction between Microsoft and Xbox and what they think of Microsoft. For me, I don't love Microsoft, and that's why I always say like Phil and Sarah Bond and these people around him are like an essential barrier, and it will be sad when they step down. Depending on who replaces them, it could be very, very detrimental for us, but we shall see. I will not call you Agent Argyle unless you rename yourself to Agent Argyle. He must be Canadian, all that apologising. No, Tom, because he's only ever apologised once. So I'm going with not Canadian. Okay, questions are over. If Xbox games go to PlayStation, the best console experience could be on the PlayStation 5 Pro. Yeah, that's a thing that Microsoft would have to be careful around. But that's going to be true of third-party games, regardless if Microsoft don't have a piece of hardware to go up against the PS5 Pro. I still think they've got something sooner than people are expecting. I've seen more rumors recently over 2026, which is believable. Obviously seen rumors that they're never doing another piece of hardware again and all of that kind of stuff, but we'll see how it goes. Ichiban, you asked a question that hasn't been answered. I don't have it on the screen, which means it might have been, I don't know, dropped into the ether or sunk away somewhere, but ask it again. Type it freely in chat, like I'm reading, I'll get it. Tony, why do I look like I'm popping out of an alien egg? Well, I am. There's no why about it. Just embrace it, accept it, make peace with it. Ryu, whenever Gaz starts his channel, hopefully this decade, and he does skits, he hopes that I star in them too. My dry sense of humour works so well. So Gaz's channel is starting. He seems to be more confident now that he's actually starting that next week. So you will have that. As for the skits, no promises. We'll see how that one goes. He's an unreliable mofo and he's in London, so actually arranging to do things is trickier than you might think. So Ichiban, if I could remaster any game, which would it be and what would I change for the remaster? Panzer Dragoon Saga or Shining Force 3? Panzer Dragoon Saga, I wouldn't change anything apart from obviously the graphics and having to change discs. That was a Sega Saturn RPG in the Panzer Dragoon universe, which was phenomenal and is very hard on the eyes if you go back and play it now. Shining Force 3, I would put it into English. Shining Force 3, we never got the entire game in the UK or America, so I'd let me have the entire game. I'd also love to see a reboot or a remake, Final Fantasy VII remake style for Lost Odyssey, because that's ripe for it. Are there any others though? Because I'm very aware that I've just named 3 Japanese RPGs, and I do have a long, quite storied history of enjoying Japanese RPGs, so they're easy choices for me. But there must be some others as well, right? No, I'm going to stick with those. Those are my 3 answers. I'm having it. What about you though? Anybody else that's got anything that you would love to see remastered? Your Pro Lost Odyssey remake. That game deserves attention. Actually, I keep intending to go and play it. It's been installed on my Xbox pretty much since I've had this Xbox. And I think it was installed on the previous generation's Xboxes as well, ready for me to go back to. You never played the other games that I mentioned? No, most people haven't. The other games that I mentioned were Sega Saturn games. And Panzer Dragoon Saga came out right at the death of the Sega Saturn, so it's fairly rare, but it was phenomenal. Like, such a good game. Right. Patrick, you do make me laugh, sir. You do make me laugh. Horizon Forbidden West is Patrick's choice. More Spyros, you never know, you might get them, but they did remaster most of the Spyros relatively recently, right? You did play Orta, but that's not an RPG. Yeah, I don't actually particularly like the Panzer Dragoon shooty games. Panzer Dragoon and Panzer Dragoon Zwei, they came out before Saga, then Saga came out, and then Orta came out afterwards. But the shooty ones are not a patch on the RPG. And then there was Crimson Dragon on the Xbox One, which was sacrilege to all of them. Horrible thing. Bloody Raw for a fighting game. You wouldn't need it remastered though, right? A sequel works for a fighting game, but a new entry in those series. You'd like an Otogi remake, yeah? I don't have strong memories of Otogi. I definitely played it. But Enter the Dragonfly. I don't know that one. Oh, this is Spyro stuff. That's why I don't understand it. Sega Rally remake would reduce at least a beat here. So I loved Sega Rally, and it's 4 tracks, but it wouldn't. Like, we've got more fresh rally games, haven't we? I'm not sure how Sega Rally could stay relevant if they were to remake that. 4 tracks and 3 cars, and yet able to consume so many hours just driving around the desert track again and again. You know that I care little about AR, but thoughts on the Apple Vision Pro? So it's not that I don't care about AR. I think there's going to be a few like banging examples of really good augmented reality games. I just don't care about it as much as I care about VR. I think augmented reality is always destined to be bigger than VR, and VR will ride its coattails. The two technologies will converge, and like they kind of are with the Apple Vision Pro, right? They're already converging. That's a VR headset that does pretty good augmented reality. So technologies will converge and VR will get to ride it a little bit. The problem that I have with the Apple VR, one, it's stupidly expensive, obviously, so that kind of takes it out of the realms of the possible for a lot of people, including myself. But two, their reluctance to embrace VR and to give you controllers, their reluctance to embrace gaming makes it almost worthless to me, right? They've got a capable device. It seems to have good quality, like screens, comfort, and all of these kind of things. But they will not give you controllers, so it's impractical for most kinds of games. And what I have seen recently, there are things that you can do, like augmented reality chess and things like that, and solitaire, like simple games. You watch people play them, and they're there, and they've got a chessboard in front of them. But rather than pick up the chess piece and move it, they're doing pinch gestures in front of their face, and stuff's moving in front of them. And it's like, that just looks shite. And not like it looks shite in the way that when you watch a VR trailer, it doesn't look very good, because you can't really trailer a VR game, right? You can't capture the presence of it and put it on a screen. So VR games look shite, but this looked like shite from the perspective of someone that understands, like that is translating. My mind is translating this experience, going, right, that's what it looks like on the screen, translating it into what this would be like to actually interface with this thing on my face. And I'm very familiar with the capabilities of it. Why is it like that? That's shite. So that's my thoughts on Apple's VR thing. I'm glad it exists, and I'm glad it's like getting interest from people that otherwise might not have been interested in it. But it's not like, if that thing was 600 quid, I wouldn't be buying it, I don't think, because they're just targeting it weirdly. AR has the same problem as connected in terms of controls, kind of. In Apple's case, it's like it's voluntary. Like VR has issues with controls. VR's big issue with control is general movement, right? It's difficult to be in a world and want to walk and not be able to traverse the environment. Augmented reality doesn't have quite the same issue, because it doesn't give you much need to traverse the environment. But I don't know, Apple have made some weird choices. Tony, it's going to push the VR industry whether I like Apple or not. This will be the foundation for VR to leapfrog a couple of years. Then if we left it as it is, yeah, that's what I say, Tony. I'm glad Apple are doing it, because it's going to garner interest in the technology. But they're doing it weirdly, and their own device kind of sucks. Not in every way. There are things that it does know. Painful discourse. We're talking augmented reality. You sit your ass down. Apple's weirdest choice was their user base. That's not a weird choice. Their user base, I mean, they just throw money at them. Like, if I were choosing a user base, I'd be after the ones that want to spend 3,500 on a weird VR experience. Sure, watches and phones, all the stuff that they throw money at. The Apple cult. Fine choice of audience. What do I think of Disney's VR floor that enables you to walk while in VR? So this is what I mean about traversal being difficult. I have a treadmill. I have a Slippy Dish treadmill, a cat VR treadmill. You probably don't know that because you haven't been around here very much. I strap myself on a Slippy Dish and run around in VR, and it's not perfect, but it's quite cool. and I like to do that. I haven't done it recently because I've been too busy to play games, which suck. But I love my VR treadmill. Business thing is a step above it in a sense, except if you watch that trailer back, I'm not going to bring it up right now because we talked about it a couple of weeks ago, but if you watch that trailer back, it's very, very slow. So it's an interesting concept that has not arrived yet. You've got obviously things like cost and the practicality of having that much space in a room, but putting those things aside and just looking at what it delivers, he has to walk like a 96-year-old. All of the people that demoed it were like almost falling over and walking like they were 96. So even as an interesting concept, it's very, very limited in what it can deliver within VR. Nintendo selling Nintendo definitely sold some overpriced cardboard. They didn't sell that much of it though, right? Yeah, no, I'm joking. Painful discourse. You're very welcome to go to bed. Show is getting to its end now. Sorry, Isla, for running it longer. I know you need to sleep as well. You do that. You go and have a sleep, Painful discourse, and we'll wrap this up. Apparently, Toys for Bob is shutting down already. Where are you pulling this from, Replicant? Is this just breaking? I saw on Twitter actually quite concerning. I think employment laws in California are quite in favor of employees, right, in various ways. Lots of things. California is quite left-leaning as American states go, at least in terms of their lawmaking. That's why they have, if you're running a website or anything, you've got all kinds of special considerations you have to make for California because they have their whole copper thing to protect children and stuff like that, that has ramifications for everyone that wants to run a website because they're quite serious about legislation. And it looks like, I'd never heard of it until today, but it looks like they have some legislation in place that means if a company is looking to make people redundant, they have to give a warning. They have to give a certain amount of notice before they can do it. It might be horrible to live in, Tony, but legislation-wise, it's in favor of people, right? And it looks like some of these are clumsy, right? In the same way that some of the EU legislation is clumsy. Like, none of us benefit from having to accept GDPR pop-ups every time we go to a website. But their heart was in the right place when they put that legislation in. California has lots of legislation like that says they had to file a warning that they're going to make 899 people redundant in a certain number of weeks. And I don't know if this is tied into the redundancies that we already know about or if this is a new wave, but Xbox Zero clarified that Toys for Bob is just closing their current building to move over to a new building. That's good, because you don't want to see studios closing down as an immediate result of the acquisition, do you? So UK notice of consultation is as little as 2 weeks, you believe? Yeah. I don't know what the deal is. I just saw that there was an official warning of 899 positions going, and it's like end of March or something like that. Okay. Depends on what legislation you think is in favour of people. I don't want to get into specifics of that, Tom, but I mean, in the UK sense and Europe in particular, and the EU, all of the GDPR stuff was intended to be in favour of people. Like, they tried, their heart was in the right place. What they ended up with was difficult and challenging, and not necessarily, like, the fallout probably made things worse for people rather than better. But my thoughts on the new Nightingale gameplay trailer. Oh, somebody said earlier, actually, I really quickly want to catch this. I think it might have been Patrick, I might be wrong. Someone said they were playing a lot of things in Steam Next Fest. The Steam have their big demo event running at the moment. Who's played anything good on that? This is the very last question, and I'm only going to leave it open for like 12 seconds because it's bedtime. What is it, Patrick? What have you been playing? Have you found any gems in there? Kratos is off as well. You have a good night. Nevergrave. What's Nevergrave? Oh, we've got time. We'll catch up on what that is. In the Discord, Emberbane. You got a bunch. Patrick, tell me them on Discord, because I want to know. Alex, what have I been playing lately? You missed the start of the show. I've not been playing anything lately. I've been setting up podcasts and doing work things. I'm playing the games that Gamsey tricked me into playing, but we don't want to talk about those again. Tried to play a game from Steam Next Fest. Oh, I thought you were saying it was called Tony the Arcadia, like he had his own game. That would have been wild. Right, let's wrap this one up for today. Tomorrow is episode 2 of the Xbox Series podcast, which should be good, right? As obviously we're going to need to touch the stuff that's going on around Xbox again. Going to need to talk about all of that for a bit at least, but we'll try not to harp on it for too long because that is getting cyclical now already. And we'll find some other things. Then we've got some kind of stuff on Friday, probably go live on Saturday, community Foam Stars night on Sunday, and it all starts again next week. So hopefully the Phil's appearance will cause more problems on Twitter. It's definitely going to cause noise. Like whether he says anything good, bad, or indifferent, it's going to cause noise. So we'll find out together next week. In the meantime, I'm going to sleep. You should enjoy some sleep, play some games, do whatever it is you need to do, have some food. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you next time.
Asa, Game On Daily.